You don't have to know how to make a movie. If you truly love cinema with all your heart and with enough passion, you can't help but make a good movie. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to know a lens, a 40 and a 50 and a fuck all that shit. Crossing the line, none of that shit's important. If you just truly love cinema with enough passion and you really love it, then you can't help but make a good movie.
When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other.
I think really the only useful advice I ever got in terms of, trying to figure out your way into the film business, the film industry, is to get yourself a script and hang on to it. It's that idea, that screenplay, that concept, whatever that's going to be, that's so important. And you have to stick to your guns. You have to find something that you can do that maybe other people couldn't do. And even if that seems different or doesn't fit into people's expectations, that's what's going to distinguish it if you can do it successfully. So I think it's really about sticking to your guns and, doing something you passionately believe in rather than trying to appeal to some desire that you imagine other people have for what they want to see in a film. I think you have to be true to your own passion and your own sense of what excites you as a storyteller.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
I think it is good. If a young person wants to express themselves and take a video camera and go out, they're going to find that they have to frame the image. And in framing the image, they're going to find that they have to interpret what they want to say to an audience. Now, how do you point the audience's eye to look where you want them to look and to get the point, the emotional and psychological point that you want to get across to them? They're going to have to make that decision. The real making of the filmmakers when they look to that viewfinder to tell the story. And I don't mean just telling a story, man goes, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. No, I mean a story could be a story could be rain hitting a tree, leaves. That could be your story. Where do you begin to put the camera? Then let them see what they do.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
And I think it all started out when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and my father came over to me and said, I'm going to take you to see the greatest show on earth. My father explained there were going to be lion tamers and circus acts, there were going to be clowns and trapeze artists, and I was absolutely delighted, and I looked forward to this for a week. On the weekend, we got into the car, we drove to Philadelphia, we lived in New Jersey, and I still didn't quite understand about the greatest show on earth. And I sat down in some seats, and suddenly I realized that my father had lied to me and had betrayed me and had taken me to a circus that wasn't a circus. It was a movie about a circus, and I had never seen a movie before. That was the first movie I ever saw, Cecil B. DeMille's The Greatest Show on Earth. I had never seen a motion picture before. I had seen a lot of television because my dad was an electrical engineer, and in his spare time, when he wasn't working for RCA, he was repairing the early television sets of the early 50s. So I knew television, but I didn't know movies. That was my first movie experience. And I think the feeling of disappointment and regret and betrayal lasted only about 10 minutes. And then I became just one more victim of this tremendous drug called cinema. And I was no longer in a theater. I was no longer in a seat. I wasn't aware of the surroundings. It was no longer a church. It was a place of equal devotion and worship, however. I became part of an experience. And I became part of the lives of a lot of people that I never would meet, and I would only get to know in this one story, but that became my life.